wondered what happens to your body after every bite? How does simple meal turn into energy that powers your entire body? Welcome to the fascinating world of the digestive system, a complex and efficient process that breaks down food, absorbs nutrients, and eliminates waste. From the moment food enters your mouth to its journey through organs like the stomach, intestines, and beyond. Every step is carefully coordinated to keep you alive and energized. In this video, we will explore the structure, functions, and amazing journey of the human digestive system in a simple and easy to understand way. Let's dive in. So, welcome to the channel and let's start with the digestive system. In this lecture series, I will be discussing or introducing GI tract and anatomy and functions of digestive system. The digestive system is a group of organs that work together to break down food, absorb nutrients, and remove waste. So here we can see the digestive system is divided into two types: alimentary canal, which includes mouth, esophagus, stomach, intestines, and the anal system, and the accessory organs like liver, pancreas, gallbladder, salivary glands, and they are helps for the digestion through enzyme secretion and bile production. So the digestive system is very important, and in your B.Pharm second semester you will be studying in your second unit this. And in the second image you can see the real structure of the digestive system. So it begins with the mouth. So here we can see that, and it starts in the mouth where food is chewed and mixed with the saliva, then moves through the esophagus by the process peristalsis, reaches the stomach where acids break down further. So here we can see the stomach part, and it enters to the small intestine where most nutrients are absorbed. Finally, in the large intestine, water is absorbed and waste is formed, so that undigested food eliminates through the anal canal. So this is the diagram, the anatomy of our digestive system. So, the medical specialty which is dealing with the study of structure, function, and diagnosis of diseases related to stomach and intestine, we can call it as the gastroenterology. So, remember, gastroenterology is the study of the diseases and the treatment or the structure, function, diagnosis study related to stomach and intestine. The medical specialty that deals with the diagnosis and treatment of disorders of rectum and anus is called as proctology. It's very important, and don't get confused. Gastroenterology is different. It's about the study of stomach and intestine. The proctology means which is the study of rectum and anus. So the organs of gastrointestinal tract, the alimentary canal is there, and the accessory organs are also there. So these are the supporting organs. Also helps for the digestion, but the liver producing bile, gallbladder stores bile juice, and pancreas releasing the digestive enzyme. So teeth, tongue, and the salivary glands also helping in the end when the food enters into the mouth, there it will helps. And the salivary gland has an enzyme, that is amylase enzyme, which help for the breaking down of the carbohydrates. So next is about the digestive system. So the digestive system carries out several essential functions including ingestion, secretion, mixing and propulsion, digestion, absorption, and elimination. It begins with the ingestion, where the food and liquids are taken into the mouth. Digestive glands then secrete enzymes and acids even with the fluids to aid in the processing of food. Through mixing and propulsion, the food is churned and moved along the gastrointestinal tract. Digestion breaks down the complex food into simpler molecules, which are then absorbed into the bloodstream, and finally the system eliminates the undigested waste from the body. So here we can see the ingestion. The ingestion is the first function of the digestive system. So we are taking the food and liquids through the mouth, and there will be the digestive enzyme like amylases. So it is present in the salivary glands. So while eating, it will enter into the stomach. The second function, that is secretion. So each day cells within the walls of the gastrointestinal tract and accessory digestive organs like a gallbladder, pancreas, and even the liver, even with the salivary glands, secreting around 7 liters of water, acid, and buffers to neutralize and enzymes into the lumen of the tract. So that's why the digestive system is having secretion function. The third one is mixing and propulsion. So once the food enter inside your stomach, there should be mixing with the juices and even the enzymes, and propulsion means the movement of food. So alternating contraction and relaxations of the smooth muscle in the walls of the gastrointestinal tract mix food and secretions and propel them towards the anus. This capability of GI tract to mix and move materials along its length is called motility. So there will be movement of the food particle. So that movement you can call it as the propulsion. And the mixing means the food you have taken, either it is bolus or the kind that I will explain in the further slides. So there will be mixing with the enzymes and the acids. That's a mixing, and the other function is propulsion, the motility or the movement of the food from one part to the another part. Next one is digestion. So digestion, there are two types of digestions are there: mechanical digestion and the chemical digestion. So the mechanical digestion occurs in the mouth, and the chemical digestion occurs in the digestive tract, in the stomach area or the intestine. You can see the chemical digestion. The fifth function of the digestive system, that is absorption. Once the food material enter into the stomach, there will be acids and enzyme, and it will mix together and it will enter into the digestive system. And through the epithelial lining of the lumen of GI tract, that you can call the absorption. So here you can see the digestive system. So the food material entered into the tract, and there will be breaking down with the acids and the enzyme. So here you can see the food material or the bolus you can consider. So with the help of the enzymes or acids, there will be breaking down. So it will break down into small particles, and here you can see the lumen. So through the lumen, this particle, this minute particle, crosses and it will enters into the systemic circulation. The systemic circulation, that means the stomach, in the blood circulatory system. So it will enters to the blood circulatory system, and it will supply this nutrients into stomach, in the brain, and each and every part it will supply. So the next part is defecation. So the defecation is the removal of waste from the digestive tract. So in the food you have taken, so there will be undigested food and the waste which our body doesn't need. So that will be eliminated through the anal canal, and that process you can call it as the defecation. So these are the functions of our digestive system, and here you can, as a result, food molecules become dissolved and thoroughly mixed with the digestive enzymes and acid. In the chemical digestion, the large carbohydrate, lipid, protein and nucleic acid molecules in food are split into smaller molecules by hydrolysis process. So after this hydrolysis process, it will enter into the systemic circulation. So in the next slide, you can see the food molecules and the chemical digestion. So few of the molecules needs to undergoes the chemical digestion, and other chemical doesn't need to undergo any kind of other enzyme reaction or the chemical digestion. So the first we can see the larger molecules are broken into small molecules by the help of enzymes through the hydrolysis process. So for example, carbohydrates. So with the help of the amylase enzyme, the carbohydrates will be break down into monosaccharides, and the proteins will break down into amino acids with the help of proteases of peptidases enzyme. As an example, you can see the pepsin and trypsin are the examples. Next, the lipids or the fats. So the fatty acids and the glycerols will be formed from the lipids with the help of lipases enzyme, and the nucleic acids broke down into nucleotides with the help of nucleases. So it's very simple. For the case of carbohydrates, amylases enzyme needed to break down into monosaccharides, and amylase enzyme present even in the saliva. And the proteins will undergo hydrolysis process with the help of pepsin or trypsin. So it will break down into amino acids. Fats will form fatty acids and glycerol with the help of lipases enzyme, and the nucleic acid will broke down into nucleotides by the help of nucleases enzyme. The enzyme's name you need to remember. And what are the molecules doesn't need or do not undergo any kind of chemical digestion? So vitamins, minerals, water and cholesterol do not undergo any kind of chemical digestion, so it will be directly absorbed by the digestive layers. So these are the molecule you need to remember. So from this slide, we are going to start the alimentary canal or our gastrointestinal tract. In the beginning, I have told you the digestive system divided into two types, the alimentary canal and the accessory digestive organs. So the alimentary canal begins by the mouth. So here we can see the mouth, next the pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine and the anus. So these are the parts of alimentary canal. And in the case of accessory organs, the accessory organs include salivary glands, liver, gallbladder, pancreas and even our teeth also accessory. And so the mouth is the part where the digestion will be begins, and it is connected with the pharynx and esophagus. So through the pharynx, food will enters into the esophagus. Next, the esophagus carrying the food into the stomach via the process peristalsis or the muscle movement which occurs in the esophagus. So in the small ages also we have studied about the peristalsis movement. It is a movement in the esophagus. And in the case of stomach, stomach will store the chyme which entered from the esophagus, and there will be gastric acid and enzymes, so it will be mixes and even it store the food for a while. Next, the acid contained food will enters into the small intestine, and small intestine is the main site for digestion and the absorption. So the parts of small intestine you can see here, that is duodenum, jejunum and ileum. With the duodenum, the accessory organs are connected, and the bile juices and the enzymes from the pancreas and the gallbladder will enter into the small intestine in the duodenum. Next, the large intestine. So large intestine is the part, but are the molecules which are doesn't undergo or do not undergo any kind of chemical digestion will absorb. For example, the minerals, the nutrients which is excess in the chyme, and along with the water molecules absorb from the large intestine. Next, the anus. So the anus will expel the waste, and you need to remember about the rectum here. So rectum is the part where the undigested food will be stored. So here we can see the accessory organs. So accessory organs are salivary glands, the liver, gallbladder and the pancreas, and their functions you can see salivary glands produce saliva. So for the digestion of carbohydrate it has amylase enzyme. So amylase enzyme will break down the carbohydrate, and the liver will produce bile for the digestion of fat molecules, and the gallbladder is storing the bile juice which is secreted by the liver, and the pancreas is secreting the exocrine hormones, and it helps for the bicarbonate into small intestine. So it is secreting enzyme and bicarbonate into the small intestine. So these are the functions of accessory organs. Next, the very interesting part, that is the layers of gastrointestinal tract. So here we can see the layers of intestine, or even you can say like the layers of our digestive system. In the digestive system there are mainly 4 types of layers are there. In some textbook you can see the 5 layers and some are having 4 layers. I will explain you clearly. So the outer layer of the stomach, that you can call it as the serosa. Serosa is the outer layer of the stomach, and the second layer is the muscularis. So here you can see the muscularis layer. So the muscularis again having 2 layers. The one is longitudinal layer and another one is circular layer. And the third layer, that is submucosa, and deep inside you can see the mucosa. So here you can see the mucosa. So the mucosa is the innermost layer, the second layer is the submucosa, and the third one is muscularis, and the muscularis again having the 2 layers, internal and externally you have 2 more layers, that is one is longitudinal layer and another one is circular layer, and the outermost layer, that is serosa. Serosa is the outermost layer. Again serosa outermost, second the muscularis layer, and the third one is submucosa, and the fourth one, that is the mucosa. So the mucosa again having sub layers, that is epithelium inside and lamina propria, muscularis, mucosa. In this diagram again you can see clearly. So the outer layer is the serosa. So here we can see the serosa. Serosa is the outermost layer. The second most layer, that is muscular layer. So the third one is the submucosa, and innermost layer, that is mucosa. And again you can see the circular layer here and the longitudinal layer. The longitudinal and the circular are the parts of the muscular layer. So the muscular layer has again 2 layers. One is longitudinal outside, the inner layer, that is circular layer. And here you can see the blue line. You might have studied about the ENS, that means the enteric nervous system. So the enteric nervous system is regulating the nerves of our digestive system. So the blue line here indicating the layers of, or that they are the nerves from the brain. So innermost layer, that is you can call here submucosal plexus. So here we can see the submucosal plexus. Submucosal plexus help for the digestion, for the secretion of the mucosa, and the outer middle of the longitudinal and circular layer you can see the myenteric plexus. So the myenteric plexus will help for the relaxation and the contraction of our muscles. So the myo or the my means, you need to remember it's related to the muscle. So it helps for the relaxation and even the contraction of the digestive system. So again in this diagram also you can see the parts or the layers of the digestive system or the digestive tract. I hope this part is clear. We need to remember the outermost layer, that is serosa, second muscularis, and the third submucosa, the innermost fourth layer, that is mucosa, and the muscularis layer again having sub layers. The outer layer is longitudinal, the inner layer is circular layer, and between the longitudinal and even the circular layer there is a nerve layer, that is myenteric plexus. So the myenteric plexus will help for the contraction and relaxation of the muscles. And in the case of between circular layer and the submucosal layer, there is a new nerves, that is submucosal plexus. The submucosal plexus help for the secretion of mucosa. So you need to remember these parts of the digestive system. I mean the layers of the digestive tract, it's very important. So here we can start the enteric nervous system. So the enteric nervous system is known as the brain of the gut. The brain of the gut, it's very important point. The brain of the gut, that is our enteric nervous system. And it consists of approximately 100 million neurons, and which is extending from esophagus to the anus. So the entire digestive system has our supply of this nerves. So the enteric nervous system has two plexus. They are the nerves. So the first one is myenteric plexus between our circular and the longitudinal muscle, that means in the muscularis layer, and the second one is submucosal plexus. So the submucosal plexus which found between the submucosa and the circular layer of our muscularis. Myenteric plexus, so you can see it is present between muscle layers or the muscularis, and which help for the GI motility by regulating muscle contraction. So the muscle contraction regulated by the myenteric plexus. Next, the submucosal plexus. Submucosal plexus found in the submucosa, and it helps for the secretions of the gastrointestinal tract. So it's very important. There are two types of plexus are present, and they are the nerves which are connected from the enteric nervous system. And the enteric nervous system is also known as the brain of the gut, and myenteric plexus present between the longitudinal and the circular layer of the muscularis, and which help for the GI motility by regulating the muscle contraction and relaxation. And the submucosal plexus are the second nerves, and they are found in the submucosa, which help for the secretions like the mucosa secretion regulated by the submucosal plexus. So the enteric nervous system controls the functions of the gastrointestinal tract and works in coordination with the ANS, that means the autonomic nervous system. The vagus nerve, I think you still remember, it is one of the cranial nerve, that means the cranial nerve turn, that is vagus nerve, which is supplying most of the gastrointestinal tract, while the sacral spinal cord supplies the distal large intestine. So the spinal cord also, there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves are there. So the sacral spinal cord is connected with the large intestine. So it actually regulating our entire digestive system. So in the case of parasympathetic nerve, it is stimulating or enhances the digestion by increasing motility and secretion. So the same time, in the sympathetic stimulation, it inhibiting the enteric nervous system activity, reducing gastrointestinal movement and secretion. So emotional states such as stress, fear and anger can slow down the digestion through sympathetic activation. So this diagram actually showing the enteric nervous system and how they are connected with our two of the plexus. So the myenteric plexus you can see here, and the submucosal plexus, they are connected with the interneuron, and here we can see the motor neuron, and even it is connected with the ANS, with the sensory neuron. I think in the nervous system we have studied about the sensory neurons and even motor neurons, even with the interneurons. There are three types of structural neurons are there. So here we can see the same thing. These are the neurons which entirely connected on coordinating our digestive system. So next I am going to discuss about the reflex control of digestive system. The enteric nervous system or the ENS regulates gastrointestinal functions through reflex pathways. Sensory receptors which includes chemoreceptors and stretch receptors, detect the presence of food and the stretching of the GI tract, that means the gastrointestinal tract. The signals are transmitted to the ENS, so the central nervous system and autonomic nervous system, so which then coordinate responses by activating or inhibiting glands and smooth muscles. This regulation helps control secretion and motility according to the body's needs. So here we can see the structure also, how the pelvic nerve and even the vagus nerve are connected. So cordially these all are working together and it helps for the entire digestive system. And ENS, ANS, CNS is very important and which help for the activation or the inhibition of glands. So if it is inhibited means there will be no secretions of acids or enzymes. So this is all about the today's lecture. In today's lecture, I have completed about the structure or the anatomy of the digestive system and I have introduced ENS. So from the next lecture, the next series of lecture, I will be adding the digestive system. That means the alimentary canal and the accessory system in detail. So I hope this lecture is help you in your future exams or even for the study. So thank you for watching this video, and if you found this video is useful, then please like, subscribe. So thank you so much.